officially call ourselves to order, or does that?
I can call us to order.
Okay.
We don't have a quorum,
Okay.
but I still don't see a problem in discussing
Okay.
it and getting
We're
the
just not
ideas
voting
out.
on, no votes or anything like that.
No, let us call ourselves to order regardless. And I believe we're now live, so
Yes.
Mr. Chairman.
All right. I call this meeting of the Guthrie Transportation Authority to order. What's our first item of discussion?
Well, number one was the minutes, and just want to make sure you guys got those, or were there any additions or changes? We can't vote on it, but just know that that's there. Okay. What I wanted to do were two major things this evening on our agenda: project updates, and then a workshop to discuss something that I ran across as I was explaining it to some of the other directors. A new word that I heard this past couple weeks, cyclovia. But let me give you a quick update on what's happening with our downtown improvement committee. Two things specifically, and I'm going to pass this around for you to look at. One is the location, and Justin, this is going to be old hat for you, but
Still exciting. So.
Still exciting. What Laterra, our design group, came up with was a design taking a look at division, because the committee had indicated they wanted us to focus on division. I don't mean to confuse this, division first as opposed to First Street. How's that for?
Well,
so what we're trying to do is do a connection. That's going to be our theme. Connecting Division and Oklahoma, and then next phase Division and Harrison, ultimately tying in the east side with the west side, and east and west side of Division, basically doing away with the concept of dividing into areas. So what we're looking at doing is the curb extensions we've been talking about at the intersection of Division and Oklahoma, as well as improving that area down Division, pretty much between the alley to the north of Oklahoma and the alley to the south of Oklahoma, such that we have a full intersection remodel, meaning brick or some type of treatment at that intersection, as well as improving the sidewalk there along with the bump outs. And what you're seeing here as you flip the pages is a photo of that area now as it looks, and an area, and that same picture with the proposed changes to it, showing the plantings, landscape trees, which really makes that whole area a lot softer and nicer looking, you know, a little bit. So imagine, if you will, phase one looking like that, phase two as we move south, and then eventually in other phases, possibly even to the north of that, or east and west. Again, connecting the downtown area to the whole town, because what the group was seeing was that was pretty much a gateway area, so it makes the whole thing look dynamic. So.
Well, it does tie the two sides of Division together, and I think that's probably been a bone of contention for the business people on the east side, and still is. I mean, I suspect that. So, what would I was just thinking, what would be nice is just also seeing how that's going to fit in with the sidewalk improvements we did on Oklahoma out to the temple, and see how that all is going to mesh and play in, because that was a huge investment by the city and the Masons. So that would be it'd be nice to see how that's all going to come in. I think that I was a strong advocate for not necessarily working on the downtown area first, because there were always sidewalks in place, and I felt like that there were places along Division where there weren't sidewalks that would really help a lot of the people, people who would like to ride down Division, and people who are currently walking down Division. So I understand why we're looking at doing this, because we're trying to enhance all of the downtown area. But just personally, I guess I would rather have seen. I would have rather seen our dollars go to the other piece first, only because I think there's a great need to get some sidewalks down there, or some kind of
There is, but sometimes, yeah, I know you're shaking your head in agreement. I appreciate
the money is got to go with money.
Yeah, got to go with money. Number one, and number two, the committee was saying, let's do something that people get excited about, that we can, that they can take a look at and go, yeah, this is a great thing, and then it's easier to go.
Well, and I guess I would also like to see, as we start working on the South Division, I would like to see us bring together people from the community outside of this building, people from the community, and ask them what they would want and what they would use. We need to go to the users. And I don't walk down that street. I see people walking down it. I know people are trying to ride down it. I've ridden down it. But it'd be nice to go into the communities that are directly affected by that and talk with them about what they want before we get too far down the road. So.
Yeah, agreed, totally.
But I mean, I have to say, I understand. I see where you're going with this, and I understand why. Just, being the populist I am, I'd rather have gone another way, but that's okay. Okay.
One of the other things that we also wanted to address, and the group also talked with the designers about taking a look at the alley area and integrating that with the whole thing that we're trying to do. When you take a look at the square footage of the alleys, that's a lot of unused area except by the trash man, which I'm sure he appreciates, but that's a lot of square footage that we could use at times other than when the trash people come to collect the refuse. And there's a lot that's been done in historic districts using the alleyways as a gathering point, as a festival point, as additional seating for the merchants and that kind of thing. And we've asked them to take a look at that as well. Things as simple as really cleaning up that area for a start, possibly moving the trash collection points to off the side or something like that, and then again making it festive, adding the crisscross white lights down the alley, so that maybe there's not a big festival in town, but a Saturday night, hey, let's flip the light switch on, a couple people bring out their guitars, music, violins, whatever, and have a little congregation point, something that is improvisation, you know what I'm trying to say, spur of the moment, and that still takes use of all the facilities that we have.
How other than the trash bin, how much traffic, and the reason why I'm thinking about this, you sort of mentioned this to me in an email, and one thing I want to be careful about is not setting it up so that pedestrians and cyclists think that they are what's the word I'm looking for? That they're not second-class citizens by saying, well, you can ride in the alley, or you can walk in the alley. No, I know, but let me finish my thought.
Oh, sorry.
One thing though that I have found, especially when you get into the downtown area and things get really condensed on Division from a cyclist point of view, one thing we have considered is routing people a couple blocks over, going down the brick way down to the park, and then working our way down that way. That's one of the ways to get them off the Division, or at least the more concentrated area up here. And the problem with that, at least from my point of view, is as a rider, it is really rough to ride on that brick road. And so at times I have thought about the alley. I mean, so even though I did what I just said, I thought, is it possible, and for me, because I'm on a recumbent, it's hard for me to do dirt or gravel or whatever, but is it possible that, especially the alleyways that run parallel to Division, could be turned into parts of bicycle routes? And that's why, I don't know, I'm just throwing that out. It's something that I did think about, because that way you don't have people on the brick, if they're uncomfortable with riding on the brick, and if they don't want to ride on the Division, and they're, like, I'm talking about kids, I'm talking about families who...
There aren't.
Yeah, there are.
Alleys parallel to Division.
Yeah, well, not all the way, but not all the way. But for a couple of blocks, for a couple blocks, you could do alleys as opposed to having to do the brick. And she's going, really? But there is.
I've never seen alleys in this quadrant of the city.
You haven't thought about it. You just haven't thought about it. But they're there, because I've thought about it.
And I have to go exploring. Yeah,
Yeah.
because
Doesn't it start with Vilas, the alleys?
Probably.
And then on down towards
Yeah,
Sonic?
probably. Yeah, probably about in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably kind of down by the O'Reilly, over by the O'Reilly, and I think the liquor stores over there, maybe that area in there.
The
So,
Whole
but,
Foods,
but see, that's still all brick, and you could at least get them off the brick, and then it turns back into pavement. I'm just thinking, I mean, because you brought up the alley thing, and you're thinking about it more in an event venue, which I think is great, but also thinking about it as possibly being a alternate to get folks off of, to allow folks to be able to
Main
ride without having to be on Division or being on a brick road. So, something to think about. Just throwing it out there. May not have anything to do with this, just, there's,
No.
you open the door about alleys, I just tell you,
that's why
something
you're
I've been,
here.
that's what I've been thinking about that.
No, that's why you're here. You know, 4 heads better than one, and those kinds of things are things that, you know, need to be thrown out on the table.
Because do you ride your bike down the brick?
Mm-hmm.
And you're okay with that? Yeah.
For the most part. It's not the smoothest ride, but I've done it for so many years, I'm used to it. Plus, the city just paved the road going into the park now, and
Yes, they have.
that's gotten a lot nicer.
Yeah.
So.
That's true. That's true. Okay.
Deal.
So now, moving back to what you're saying about trying to make it a venue. I have seen that in places where people have done that.
There's a lot of exciting areas. Washington, D.C., of course, has a lot of very old areas, but they've really taken it to a new level for using the alleys. And what we're looking at, well, this is a seed. This is, you know, nowhere near written in anything permanent, but, you know, we like our heritage, we want to keep that, and so on. But Guthrie is becoming a younger community as well. And
hopefully so.
Oh,
that's a good
agreed,
thing.
agreed.
That's a good
But,
thing.
you know, if we maintain the historic facades, well, not if, we need to maintain our historic facades, keep them, you know, so that they adhere to the guidelines and such. But let's take a look at the, you know, at the back area, not meaning to make it a second-class area by any means, but I think it can become a more exciting place by, you know, going in there and throwing some paint on the ground, or, you know, doing some mural work up the sides, making it a younger area in terms of the environment, the features. I mean,
how are the businesses thinking about this? I mean, have you?
Like I said, this is seeds, throwing seeds out. Have not spoken to them, but just trying to get some ideas outside of the box out there and test the water here, like with you all, to say, you know, if we had some wild, crazy parties down there, or people hung out there, you know, and maybe, for example, during Mumford, we painted this intersection Blue Jay Blue. What would happen if we were to do something like that, and, you know, maybe one block is yellow and another block is another color, you know, and something where,
you know, they just give me an idea. You know, that'd be great. You could do a great tailgate party for the football team, for the football game night.
Yeah.
You could do one part of the alley and do tailgating in there, tailgate partying in there.
Right. Because we know how crazy it gets around
Exactly.
when they have that.
Yeah.
But, you know, we could do things like that. And again, the whole idea, getting people, you know, to the area, to the downtown. And if they're there, then I get back into the transportation mode of we're having people walk around and doing stuff and that sort of thing.
A lot of businesses too have, of course, back entrances off the alley.
Right.
And they can be, because I've lived in New Hampshire, Arkansas, North Carolina, and there are shops, when you have a downtown collective like we do, there are shops that have, you can, you know, you can go into the back entrance, and they have them fixed up, because I don't know if you know about New England style, but it's like a lot of, when you're on the street, you really don't park on the street. You know, I mean, it's like your front door is almost right there, and that's how the shops are to the alley.
Right. No
the
setback.
coolest thing, window boxes, plant. I mean, it's just the coolest atmosphere. You know, I mean, and then I mean, you can, because you can really just, I mean, make it a beautiful, you know.
Right. Yeah, you can make an extension of their business to the alley.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but again, it would have to be something that is temporary in that vein, because it is a service way. But you know, pick up things, put them back in.
I need to walk some of the alleys just to think about that. Because I mean, I am thinking about some real, because that's the kind of thing, like you say, where in the evening, for instance, even tonight, it's going to be a gorgeous evening tonight.
Yeah.
And wouldn't it be nice if we had a place where people could just sit outside and drink coffee, or sit outside and you know, have a glass of wine if you had a participating, you know, business to correspond with something like that. So, no, I mean, I think that's a really great idea.
Yeah. Because if we have those avenues, more people will use the downtown. It will become that place where people hang out, and we will do what we set out to do placemaking, to create these areas where people can hang out and have fun and walk more. So, in the vein of walking more, I'd like to move on to the open streets or cyclovia, and the reason the term cyclovia came about, I was taking a look at some possible grants and such, and actually I think it was one of the ones that you had sent me, Bonnie, and as I was going through like the third page or fourth page of the thing, there was this word that I had never heard of before. I was like, okay, I'm usually pretty adept at most words, obviously not all, because I haven't seen that one. So I thought, okay, pulling up Wikipedia, which I think is on this one here, and the whole idea of cyclovia came about probably a couple decades ago in Bolivia, and the idea being is that they would take, maybe 2, 3, 4 miles worth of streets, and on a summer's day, usually like a Sunday afternoon when, you know, people are off and relaxing, they would take that entire path, close it down to any kind of vehicular traffic, and make it an area for either bikes or pedestrians or skateboards or roller skaters or walking minstrels, you know, anything with music and anything pedestrian related. And people just stroll. There is no beginning, there is no end. It's not that at 10 o'clock you start here and by 2 o'clock you expect to wind up there. No, it's continual movement at any time that you can join at any location along the route and repeat it, you know, do a circular event. But that concept has grown, and in that Wikipedia article it talks about how this has become an event in many cities internationally as well as within the United States, in that they do it, say, maybe on the, you know, on the third Sunday of a month during the summer months. It's not something you can do every day. It's certainly a temporary thing, but it becomes a happening, you know, and an event that's just kind of fun. Think of it, you know, in Victorian terms, probably like the Victorian walk, only this would be for the purpose of everybody walking down the middle of the street, and you wouldn't have to be in Victorian garb, and it's in the middle of summer when things are hot. But a lot of cities are doing that kind of thing. Well, some cities are doing that thing. I don't think there necessarily are a lot, but it's becoming an idea that's being picked up. I think you were saying that Oklahoma City had done something like that recently, and a lot of people call it what it's known in English, open street. I kind of think the whole term of cyclovia is a little more exciting and romantic.
Sounds pretty.
And it sounds pretty. I had some handouts for you that I sent, but I have an extra copy here where it talks about what they've done in different towns and so on. The one in Bogota, they did it for several weekends in a row and ended up having over 2 million people participate, you know.
That's with the one in Oklahoma City. I think they ended up with 15,000 people.
Yeah, they were way overwhelmed. Actually, they didn't expect that much. They had no food left. You know, they were excited, but it was like, whoa! It was so well. It was. I'm thinking it was the end of March.
Yeah, it was really fun. We went down and it kind of shifted from, like, I think what their original purpose was, which was just, you know, to be able to walk and bike kind of freely back and forth on 23rd Street, and it was just so popular that the crowd was just so massive. It ended up becoming more of like a large block party, and so there weren't a whole lot of folks who, you know, rode their bikes around. It was just so packed, but I mean, it was still really pretty fantastic.
Well, and we're starting to see more food trucks coming up, especially with the Make Guthrie Weird Festival, but we could certainly do that kind of thing, welcome food carts or ice cream carts or, you know, things like that. And, you know, if we had people moving, you know, again, it goes back to, you know, being healthy, and this is a stretch in transportation, but I still think a lot of it does go together.
Well, you know, open streets is not a stretch in transportation at all. I mean, I think the people, because the people who've been putting them on they are generally pedestrians and bicyclists. So, I mean, I don't think it's a stretch that way for us to consider something like this, because if we're here about trying to look at alternative transportation in town, then that would allow for that.
Well, and you know what, this could be an introduction to people in terms of alternative transportation. You know, I think when they start seeing where bicyclists and such, it's like, oh, well, maybe I should try riding my bike to, you know, fill in the blank, and instead of getting in my car and driving my car to that same location. You know, if they can see that it can be done on the north-south alley, just like you're talking about, even. But, you know, and those are some of the things to look at. I want to be careful that we don't block off streets that hinder any of the retail movement, but, you know, that should be something that we take a look at. You know, they may welcome that on a Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, I was going to say, if we were to do that, we would encourage the retail to be open.
Right.
And then maybe even additional vendors, you know, setting up on the sidewalk. I mean, because people they'll come and shop.
Well,
and to display their wares, kind of like the, was it Saturday market, kind of like, you know, that would be awesome.
Farmers market.
Yes.
I would tell you that's what happened down in Oklahoma City at that. It was so successful. And businesses that weren't normally open on Sundays said, you know, it was phenomenal. And all of a sudden, all these neighborhoods in Oklahoma City says, we want the next one here, we want the next one there. So I don't think you'd want to do it on Saturday, but if you did it on a Sunday, I think you would see people coming into the shops and stuff who had maybe never even been in there before, it would certainly, if it didn't, people weren't buying things that day, they'd certainly be coming back to buy things later. It introduced people to the different shops down there. So I mean, I think that we need to be careful and not saying, well, we aren't going to put this, you know, we're not going to infringe upon retail. I think if it's Sunday, it will, because have you ever been down here on Sunday? It's dead. Dead. And this would only, I think it would encourage people, especially if we had people coming who weren't just from Guthrie.
Yeah.
Exactly, because then you'll have people, especially if it catches on, they're going to want to book, you know, place, you know, to be able to come and set up and to be a part of it.
Yeah.
Because that's what they do.
Because I think if we approach it from the standpoint that, okay, this is a 1 mile path or a 1.5 mile, and you know, if you want to do the full thing at 2 or whatever measurement we want to use, and then if it becomes marketed as as an athletic/exercise event that happens to have some food trucks here, as opposed to a food truck festival type thing. You know
Well,
what
and
I'm
I
saying?
think one of the things that's important about that is that you have to design it in such a way that people have to do it. They have to walk, or they have to ride their bike. They can't just park just on the outside of it and walk into one little area. You follow what I mean? If you need to be able to push people through it.
Exactly.
Push people through it and
Exactly.
not have them, park a half block away and come into it. So that's something, and that way, because then then they're just coming in, doing the food trucks and leave, like you're saying. So it has to be designed in such a way to keep people moving around or walking around, riding around, and not being about the food.
Yeah, but if you have not just food, but different vendors set up, people are going, because people love going flea marketing. People love, when we have, 89er weekend, or we had like the Mumford and Sons, it was so exciting. The streets were blocked off and people were walking just, and they wanted more, so they're going to walk to where, even if they're not here to necessarily do the whole route, if there's vendors and food, they're going to walk to it just to check it all out. So if they are just walking to shop, at least they're walking.
But I do think that you do need to figure out some way that it's organized so that if people just want to walk or people just want to ride, that they're going to be able to do that freely too. So in other words, I wouldn't necessarily put vendors on both sides. I keep them all on one side so you have one area where you can have a flow of traffic like that.
That's a good idea.
If you put them all on two sides, it starts getting
congested.
Constricting.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
And I don't know. You were at that event, and I know it got too huge. You couldn't do anything. But did you get a feel for how they set themselves up to try to make that happen?
They said all the food trucks were lined up on the south lane, so the eastbound lane of 23rd. But like you said, it was so big it didn't matter. It was all just a sea of people. Yeah, they kept them all. All the food trucks were on the eastbound lane of 23rd.
Did they only have food trucks? Did they, besides the local businesses, did they have any other vendors there?
Yeah, there were all kinds of little booths doing different things, community booths and agencies and different stuff. Yeah.
All right.
They
So
had
you had booths, or they had booths to buy things too?
There wasn't a whole lot of
Okay.
so it was more of like here, the YMCA would have a booth, and I know there's some different organizations that had activities at some of the intersections where they'd have I remember there was, I think the downtown Y was doing Zumba classes in the middle of the intersection at one point, one area, and just different kind of physical activity things that were going on.
So the focus, they try to keep the focus on healthy whatever.
Yeah.
Either exercise
Yes.
or what?
She just mentioned a great thing. We could do like a scavenger hunt, or maybe do a geocaching exercise as you go. That would
Move people
as you
on.
say, move people on. That okay, you do your
Especially families.
yeah.
That'd
That'd be a great idea. There are some geocaching locations here in Guthrie already, but yeah, that would be a good idea.
I'm wondering if, when you're going down, I gotta figure out where I'm at up here, that away, and it goes down and it goes straight into the park, and then it comes around. It'd be kind of cool if you blocked the park off where no cars could go in there, and then the path that went straight down, and I don't know about the residential part of it, but no vehicles, and then you go around the park and then come back. Because we're talking about having a trail or a route, so they're doing this, and then somehow, incorporate that. I think that'd be kind of cool.
Well, the advantage of that is you have not as much vehicle traffic, and you have a lot of open space, and you have places to put things.
Right. Yeah.
But if you're trying to highlight the downtown, it would kind of take it away from that. So I don't know if that's, if the point is to highlight the downtown or to do some kind of activity to get people thinking about getting out of their vehicles. And if it seems like, I mean, I don't, it seems like that one of the things that folks have been thinking about here for development of the downtown area is creating this sense of place here where people are walking and riding and getting out of their cars. So what you might be able to do is do that, but incorporated part of the downtown area to bring people all up into it.
Well, yeah, that's,
Yeah.
it's that whole, because you do a circle and come back, and if it's part of a scavenger hunt, or if it's part of whatever, but, you know, it gives them the,
Well, if you did some vendors down there, like food vendors down there and some food vendors up here, so that would also, people don't have to walk all the way down there to eat or walk all the way back up here to eat. They can, or whatever they want. I mean, they can get food easily without not doing the whole route if they wanted to.
Let me throw another idea in, because I like the thing of meshing the downtown with mineral wells. It's such a beautiful spot, and if it's a hot day, then you've kind of got an automatic place to rest. Would be to hold it maybe on a weekend in conjunction with Make Guthrie Weird concert.
Well, that's what I was thinking at one point.
So that you have the concert thing on a Saturday, and everybody
and then on
for
Sunday.
that. And then on Sunday,
I don't think you're going to get. I think. I mean, you can do that, but I don't know if people can do. People come in for the weekend when they do the Make Guthrie Weird, or do people just come in for the evening?
well,
I really have no idea.
is that normally on a Friday or? I'm sorry.
Saturday.
Okay.
I would guess most of those folks are, you know, are just driving up from the city for the night.
for the yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if they're gonna stay over, but.
See, I was thinking about doing it in conjunction with it, but not the next day, but the same day. If you, I mean, how do you think that people would feel about? And you're right. The problem is the residence people, because then they don't have any access to their houses.
Well, alley, they do have alleys through there. They can, they have alley access.
So they could do that. Because what you could do then is, where, well, I don't think we're talking about doing this, but normally, where do you guys, I know you move it around, but normally where's Make Guthrie Weird?
Second Harrison.
It's Harrison and what?
Second.
And Second, isn't Second the road that shoots right down into the park?
Yes.
Yeah, see, so you could make that like the boulevard. You know, you could turn that into a boulevard to do something like that.
Yeah. But I know, for example, when they do things at Christmas, you know, part of the event cycle is to have them come and do a 2-day event. I mean, it's not only good for the merchants, but it does fill up the hotels and that kind of thing too.
Well,
this could be this could be a summer event where we're doing that, and
I don't think that you can do it in the summer. I think it's too hot.
Yeah.
And there's too much shade. You're going to have to do this. I mean, it's not enough shade. I think you're going to have to do it, you know, off season, either in the spring or the fall. I would say the fall, because the falls here are the best weather-wise.
I'd say do it more than once.
Oh yeah, you could do it consecutive Sundays. You know, it doesn't always have to match up with Make Guthrie Weird.
Well, I think you can do it consecutive Sundays if you aren't bringing in vendors and trying to do that. We're having a community event and all that. Because some of these aren't so much festivals, is that they just close off streets.
Correct.
So, I mean, if you're just closing off an area, that's easy to do. With, you know, that's fairly easy to do. If you're talking about enhancing it with businesses, organizations, whatever that might be, then I think
maybe do it once a month.
No, I think that you're going to find the organization that's going to be pretty. I mean, the organization for Edmond and Oklahoma City ones was, you know, 6 months in the making for one.
Right.
So I don't think we can do that. I don't think we could do that often. Plus, you don't want to piss off the people who live down there. You know.
Yeah.
You got to think about those guys too. You know, they may tolerate this a couple of times, but they're not going to tolerate this too often.
And that's why, again, you take a look at different avenues to do it
Right.
on. you know.
Because is that one of the reasons why you guys kind of had moved this around a little bit, make Guthrie brick? Is that the reason why they were moving it in different places? I kind of thought that, but.
For what reason?
Well, just to give to be able to show off different parts of the community.
I think that's probably part of the idea.
Kind of see what works best.
I mean, was it that, or was it because concerns that people in that area, retail in that area, kind of got tired of being the host in that area?
No, I don't think that was it at all. Like the one time it went on to the east side, James Long, he was a primary sponsor for that evening. So since that was the case, you know, he wanted to have it there in front of a lot of his property. So
Okay.
I think all of the retail that's, you know, in the direct, you know, proximity of the block parties, I think is in love with it. Yeah, just absolutely enamored with it. So.
Yeah, and it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I think it could be a lot of fun in that it serves so many purposes. You know, it gets people out, gets people walking, introduces them to things. We would just need to define, you know, what we want to do with it. And you're right, in a lot of the hardcore areas, it is just a get up and move event. You know, if we want to celebrate something special, then we bring in the food trucks and all of that. Now, whether it's something that we do, you know, at the beginning of spring and then, you know, have, you know, end of the season thing with the party and the food trucks, you know.
Isn't there an art and wine event here?
Yes.
In the fall?
You bet. Yes, in October.
See, and I think that would be a nice time to put those two together. Because is that a 2-day or a 3-day event?
Art and Wine is 2-day.
Is it Friday and Saturday?
Isn't it right when, it's right around when Bluegrass
It's when Bluegrass
Festival.
is first weekend
The
in
first
October.
weekend
Yeah,
of
about-
October.
Or is Bluegrass always the Columbus Day weekend?
It's always,
It's
both
first
of them are the
weekend.
first weekend.
Always.
Okay.
Yeah, they hold them the same
Okay.
weekend.
And sometimes it happens to be Columbus Day weekend, but
I have no idea.
yeah, I mean, just because, well, Columbus Day is, I don't know, it doesn't matter.
I just think the more that we can do, you know, whether it's jazzing up the alleys or something like this, it brings in a whole different group of people. You know, we need to expand and stretch. I think.
So I know PPL has been a food truck here. What's the other food truck? I mean, what other food trucks have been coming in? Because I haven't gone to a festival since
There's
May.
been a number of them now.
And there was the guy who was trying to, the food fair guy. Food fair guy, you know who I'm talking about? He was there, I know, in May.
I don't know him.
The guy who had the storefront down in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
I know that, you know, the union guys have been involved every time. And there was the last one was we ate one place that was like a really, it said pizza something, but it was totally just really bizarre type dish. It had like a pastry on the bottom. It was like a kind of like a noodle something on top of that with a sauce.
I
and
haven't
tons
had
of-
dinner yet.
Yeah.
I know, me either.
This is sounding awfully good.
It really it was pretty tasty, except for the fact that when I ordered it, I was like, I'm gonna get a piece of pizza, and they kind of slid it to me. I'm like, oh, that's not pizza. My expectations were.
You had to make a
such-
major paradigm shift.
I was looking forward to pizza. So, but there was a few other. There's a really great pretzel truck that was there last time. And a few others, I think.
So I'm just curious, how does that, I mean, how do you make that happen? I know PPL is local. I'm guessing these others weren't necessarily local. I mean, how do you find these places, or how do you get the word out you're doing this?
They, American Legion sponsor like the 89ers and that sort of thing. So, because we've gotten calls about, you know, who do we contact in regards to if we want to set up. And so we put them in contact with the American Legion. But I know my sister has had a concession trailer before, and go online and you look at what events are where, and then you make
So they kind of
contact.
seek, so the vendors actually seek them out.
yes.
You don't have to go look for them.
Yes.
To go where the people are.
Yes.
Okay.
And they'll call, you'll have those that are saying about how many, you know, how big is it, how, you know, how many in attendance do you think? I mean, you'll have those that are, you know, they do their homework before they come.
To see if it's gonna make it worthwhile.
Yeah, because if you're a, you know, an event coordinator and you know, trying to plan something new, and you call up a food truck just to say, hey, I'm gonna throw like a party, I'm looking for a food truck. For that kind of thing, they're usually gonna charge you like a minimum. They're gonna want like a guarantee of, you know, however much money, so they're not gonna get screwed on some kind of, you know, bizarre, you know, party that you're throwing that no one's gonna show up to. But for, you know, a proven event like the block parties are, or, you know, the different things in Oklahoma City, they know they're going to make money, so they seek that stuff out.
So like for us, in this case, especially here, I mean here in Guthrie, with this as being a first event, one of the things that we have to think about is that, you know, how many people we're going to get. I think Make Guthrie Weird has been so successful that people go and blink. But doing something like this the first time around, it'll be interesting how we can bring those food vendors in.
Well, yeah.
And maybe we start small and
the thing is, it's usually where there's food, people are going to go. Because, you know, I go to the fair for the food. I do. I mean, because there's no...
Most people do.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's no... You're not going to get that food in
your
other
place.
time.
Yeah.
So, and that's kind of the mentality when those people set up. It's like, you know, people splurge. You know, their diets don't exist that day, or 0 calories, whatever they eat. So that's, you know, when there's food, people will come.
Sure.
I'm looking on this thing that was put together by Project for Public Spaces, and it says there are 46 Ciclovia, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, events throughout the United States, and many more throughout the world. And I think that's one of the things we need to get, you know, to really define. I guess that's what I'm looking for. That this is more a movement, transport, lighter, quicker, cheaper type of event with food.
Gotta have food.
You know, as opposed to come and eat and walk from one food event to the next.
But that's one of the reasons why I think this idea of stretching it out to the park. I mean, even if you don't necessarily shut down the whole park, but you just do the boulevard down to the park. That's what I'll call it. I'm gonna call it the boulevard. Down to the park. Then people can park at the park and walk. What do you mean they can't go to the park and walk around?
Well, they can walk around. I didn't mean to interrupt, but if we're going to have it in the park, then we probably shouldn't have any cars at all.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Don't have it in the park. Don't end it right at the entrance to the park. And then because you don't have to, people are going to have to park somewhere. Because I don't think that's a long way for people to walk, honestly, and back again. For people to walk from you know, the downtown area all the way down there. I think you're going to have 2 sections of parking. One at the park area, and although I'm just thinking about where there is parking at the park.
There's not a lot.
There's not a lot, but there's even less if you close down the park, then you're really in trouble. Except that you can park them at the county fair and there. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm just thinking.
I'm thinking of the bikes though. If I'm riding my bike, I want to go and I want to do that trail. I mean, I want to go and do the circle.
Well, sure.
And come back. That's what I'm
Sure.
thinking.
If you're riding a bicycle, that would be hard. But if you're walking,
Well,
it might be a little.
For some. Then they don't walk it. But
Then they only walk as far as to the first food truck, right?
Yeah. But if there's food down there, I wonder.
So we need to put the food halfway in between. I think that's what it sounds like to me.
Well, and if there's a scavenger hunt and they have to go to the park.
Right.
You know, and you could have. I mean, I don't know all the logistics or the legalities in regards to, you know, in these events of having those blow up bouncy things for kids or something. You know. If that happens, then you're going to have foot traffic. For sure.
Well, they have the bouncy things at the
block party. Yeah.
At the block party, yeah.
Yeah, those are
kids.
I want to get one of those, you know, the slides.
But see, again, what we got to be careful of is not put too much fun stuff in the park, or people are going to park at the fairgrounds and walk there and walk out. So we got to design this in such a way.
But that's still, think about, that's a ways.
Not.
I mean, that's not close.
Yeah, it's closer than you think. If you park at the fairgrounds parking area and you go to the park, it's you know, it's barely a quarter of a mile. It's not really that far. Because I walk that, so that's why I know you're not.
But I believe that, you know, maybe if someone was just going to take their kids for a little while and they did that, but people who are interested in what's up the road, either they're going to get in their car and try to drive and park somewhere, or they'll actually walk it, you know, because they're going to be interested in knowing what else is, you know.
I'm just thinking the tennis courts at the park would be a great place to put those little bouncy things. Because they're in the shade, and it's flat, it's paved. You could put them, I was just trying to think where else you could put them. But it also is at the end of the park too, and so it forces people to walk a little further than over there by where the ducks hang, or the geese hang out.
Yep.
Well, and I think having something like this, the whole idea is that there's minimal infrastructure requirements or investment. It's just something that is
spontaneous.
Well,
spontaneous,
there's a lot of planning to it,
yeah.
you know, and just getting everybody together. But it's a fun thing that doesn't require a lot of setup.
You know, it'd be nice, because I just think about that area, is if the community garden was flourishing, which it currently isn't. If it was flourishing, that's another little piece to this whole thing that would be really nice to have going.
Well, and that may be a spring thing then.
Right.
You know, that may be something that's done.
Well, it will be in better shape come next spring, I'm hoping, because right now it's in pretty good shape. So.
Well, I'm taking it from the discussion of what we've been around that you all think this might be something that we need to pursue, and I think it really talks to the lighter, cheaper, quicker process of doing things with downtown.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing to do. Yeah.
Well, and maybe what we can do is get other community groups involved with this and buy in. And
Well, I'm thinking the chamber. I'm thinking of YMCA.
right.
You know, we got to think of, is that area around there? Is that a, how can I say this? You know how Neighborhood Solutions has their little groups? Is that a developed group there?
You bet.
So then meet with that group and, you know, as a matter of fact, if any of those people down, for instance, I was just thinking about it was the old library, the old African American library?
The Excelsior?
Is that on 2nd Street? Or is that on 1st Street?
Oh shoot, I'm pulling.
Do I drive by that when I go down that street?
I think it's on Second.
It's on Second, I'm pretty sure.
Because maybe those guys would like to do something, even have an open house for people to go in there and look around, see what's going on. Because a lot of times it's not open.
It's not
Well,
going to be
because
open anytime.
the Red
So-
Cross is on there.
Why? Well, and that is because it's in pretty bad shape.
Yeah, there's some areas that
I see.
need to be repaired,
I
or
see.
else they would
I see.
have
Never
some
mind.
health issues.
Well,
Or not health issues,
then they
but
can also
danger
just do
issues.
something outside and talk about it. I mean,
Right.
but you can invite people to do that, to do some event there that showcases that historic site.
I also like your idea of YMCA too. I mean, we could really,
Yeah, YMCA.
The Red Cross is there, they could do a,
Ooh, Red Cross is
Oh,
there.
that
That's
would be good.
excellent.
yeah,
yeah, we could be walking right by Red Cross. Why
yes.
not? Good idea.
We got isn't the old funeral parlor down there?
Yes.
One and two.
Well-
Oh, Red Cross doesn't think.
I know.
Well, I'm thinking
Sad joke, sad joke.
Get Fit Logan County definitely needs to be involved in this.
Right.
Courtney definitely needs to be. Did she finally hire her person?
We're interviewing people tomorrow.
Oh, good. Hopefully you get somebody tomorrow.
Well, tomorrow and the next day, there are lots of
Good.
interviews.
Yeah,
to do.
Good. Hopefully that'll work.
Because
Well,
this could totally be a real good, healthy.
Well, and
What
also,
about
I know.
What about, like the high school, the band? Maybe the band could come and perform or do.
Oh, that would be a
And
great
junior
idea. They
high.
could march.
I know, they
Yeah.
could do some march songs.
Yeah.
That would be fun.
They're awesome. I mean, I
That would be
love, you know, and you could invite other bands to, I mean, I'm not saying, you know, we have to at this point, but I mean, you know, anytime you have gatherings like this, you gotta have, music is always
Absolutely.
And they you know, they play some really uplifting kind of marching stuff, but
They
that will
do.
make you
They
get
put
the
on
move.
shows, they put
Yeah.
on, they're good.
Yeah.
And also the, not just the band, but the choir,
Mm-hmm.
they're amazing. I mean, because this gives them a forum to practice.
Oh, and you know who else? Maybe do you know the dance studio?
Mm-hmm.
The lady down there on Division? That would be something that that maybe have them doing a demonstration or something
Well,
like that.
yeah,
Do they
that's
do-
her-
Well, that's interactive too, because if we could get the walking people to walk along and go, oh, you do this step
Exactly.
and pull it in. I mean, this is not something to observe, this is something to interact with,
Yes.
and be fun.
Right,
It's not a parade.
right. No,
It's something that
No, you don't want
everybody.
bystanders. You don't want
No,
bystanders.
No.
Yeah, it's, and it gives her an opportunity, it's like free advertisement, if you will.
Exactly.
But it's, she's getting to demonstrate her wares.
Mhm.
so to
Well,
speak.
I'm thinking, do they do, does she just, I don't know her business law, but do they do acrobats as well as dance?
Well, they do, I think there's like tumbling and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not sure to what extent, but, it's usually part of what they have to do.
Yeah, that's not acrobats, is tumbling and acrobats the same thing? Are they?
Well, yeah.
I just was thinking, wouldn't it be fun, as you were walking down the street, to see some little girl doing cartwhells or doing handstands, as you
Like
know,
gymnastics.
or
Yeah.
yeah,
Those are
something like that.
cheerleaders, so you could get
Yes.
the cheer squad, because cheerleaders are very acrobatic.
But I think that you're right. What we want to do is make sure we're not having people stopping and looking, although they're going to do that with the vendors and stuff, but also that this group is interacting with folks who are walking
And
around.
that's just it. If you have the, a variety, like, we've had our streets blocked off, and there was space, too much space in between. Like, even our 89er parade. Well, there should be, it should be set up in such a way to where there's music and bands in between, to where there's this flow, and it's exciting and not this lull. There was too many lulls and space, and you're just like, what's going on? And we've had our streets blocked off to where, it's like, there's space. There's nothing going on. It's all in this group and this. And so if you spread it out to where you have music and you have acrobats and you have cheer, people are going to walk it to see it because they're going to be, it's just going to be exciting. So that's my
And
suggestion.
I'm thinking that's what they did in Oklahoma City. They kind of moved, they spread out the things all the way along it
Sure.
to do just what you're talking about, to move people.
Can I interject real quick? It's 7, so I have to hit the road. But would it be possible for us to maybe adjourn so Aaron can shut things down and continue the conversation? Or is it...
I think that's a great idea.
Okay.
It's been an hour, and I'm sure with a nice evening like this, everybody's anxious to go and walk.